Vidyadan Foundation for Education, in collaboration with Society for Integrated Development of Himalayas, organized a seminar on Indian perspectives of education from 20th to 23rd September 2012.
And I had requested Tejinder ji that when she had asked me if I could come, my first condition was that I would not be talking of philosophy. As there is very little time, I come straight to what I want to talk about. I will not be talking very much about the philosophy or what should be and what should not be. I have been in the ashram for 27 years now. And in 1999, there was a super cyclone in Odisha, and in the trust meeting, it was decided and discussed that because there were about 300 Sri Aurobindo schools, today there are more than 400, which are independent. In the ashram, of course, in Delhi, many of you would know that we are running two schools, Mirambika and the Mothers International School. So there were so many independent schools, and we had been helping them. At that time, we had sort of decided that we will help the ones which have been affected by the cyclone, and I had then said that I would like to do it myself instead of just sending money or depending on others to do it. And I had about 4 years I was going more or less every month to do things. One thing which really struck me was that the gap between the metros and like what we are doing in Delhi and all, and the rural areas which are very remote and all, was very, like it was huge. And I thought that it was something which was not very healthy for the country. And every time I would try to sort of talk to people, it's not that I am a teacher or something who knows a lot about everything, but I would still like that at that time that I would talk to people and I would say that we have to make an effort to improve the education system and not only the infrastructure. We had gone for infrastructure, but I thought that it was the education system which needs to be improved and the standard of education which needs to be improved. And most of the time people would tell me that I didn't understand what type of problems everybody faces and what type of what is happening and that things cannot be done better. And I didn't understand that. So at that point of time, we decided that we will have our own center. We means at that time it was only me, who I'm saying as we, but we should start something on our own. And in 2004, we got our area. Could somebody connect my computer to the... Continue. I have just got some photographs which sort of give you an idea of the area. So initially, I went and I have sort of seen a lot of the country, but in Odisha, I sort of, selected Koraput district. At that time, just before selecting, when I had sort of earmarked a piece of land which we would buy, at that time there was a Naxalite attack on Koraput town, just a month before. So I had been wavering before that, but the moment the Naxalite attack came there in the town, in the middle of the town at the bus station, and that sort of, the 200 Naxalites came and looted the police station and things like that and stole, I don't know, hundreds of guns and things like that. So that sort of made me decide that, okay, this is the place where we need to work. So the place, if this works, then you'll get some idea. The area where we are working is across a reservoir in Koraput district. The reservoir sort of cuts it off. All the people who are living there are people who've been displaced when the reservoir was made in the 80s. And there is no road there. Nobody has a motorcycle or a car without a road in any case, and nobody has money to buy anything. And there is no electricity. There is supposed to be a government school, but not a single day any teacher has come. So that was the first effort that we get that started before having our own school. Our own school started in 2008. I'll come to that, but I just want to give a background of the whole thing. And before that we tried a lot that the teachers who are being paid, there were 2 teachers who were being paid, they should start coming and taking. So finally when I complained to the collector and all, they sent a team, and the team told the teachers that you have to go, and if you don't go, you have to get signatures from the villagers that you're going. So they came one day, that's the only day they came, gave the villagers 10 rupees each, got signed from them that we have been coming, drew their salary, and after that nobody was seen. So at that point we said that okay, we were in any case going to start a school. At that point we said that we will start a school here. Now going back a little bit more, at the time when we were just on the verge of purchasing our land, what happened was that some other people who were not interested or who didn't want any outsider to come there, they instigated the villagers. The villagers in a whole group, about 100 people or something, went to the collector and sort of told the collector that if these people come, we are going to kill them. And that is the time when that Stein's case in Mayurbhanj district of Odisha had just taken place. So the collector called me and they said, when I went to the Tehsil office, they said, no, don't buy this land, go to the collector. The collector told me that you can't buy this land. I said, why? The collector said, well, they're going to kill you if you go there. I said, being an Indian citizen, you can't stop me from going there. If you want to stop me, you have to give it to me in writing. It's my decision to go there. Or then the collector told me that just a few years back they had killed 12 policemen who went there. Even the police is afraid of going there. I still said, look, if you are just giving me advice, I may follow it or I may not follow it. But if you have to stop me, you give it to me in writing that you bar me from going there. And the collector knows that that sort of is not possible. And we still bought the land, we went ahead. And there were initially a lot of problems. I don't go into them because the topic of today's discussion is education. But I'm just trying to sort of portray to you what type of area we are working in. I go further. Children there at the age of 5 and 6 and all start drinking, or even earlier. And the whole area is a tribal area. Our village is a completely tribal village, except for 2 nuclear families who are SCs. Everyone else is a tribal there. But for some reason, I am one person who is very against this caste system, calling people tribals or SCs and this and that and all. It just doesn't, I don't like to differentiate or sort of label people or classify people as if they are something different. I feel that everybody is the same and all these things shouldn't be there. So one more hamlet just down the road from our village is an OBC hamlet. So when we started the school, we said, okay, we include them also in our catchment area. It's just one single road. Once the photographs are there, you'll get some idea. And we started the school with them. And we are doing things very differently. Now, all the disadvantages which I was telling you are actually advantages in that area. I'll quickly go through the slides because I have this is the Koraput district, and this gives you some idea of the latitude. We are at a similar height, a little higher than this height, and it is, you can see a large reservoir in this picture. We are on the wrong side of the reservoir. If you need to reach our area, we have to cross the reservoir. When we started initially, there were no motorized boats. We had to travel a distance of 11 kilometers. It used to take 2.5 hours to reach our village if 5 people were rowing. So if I had to just go and buy vegetables, I had to go 2.5 hours rowing and then walk an hour, buy vegetables, walk an hour, row 2.5 hours, and that's how it is. And so it was very interesting. Now there is a road which takes us closer to the village. We only have to do 2.5 hours, 2.5 kilometers, which takes by rowing about an hour, hour and a quarter, or an hour. And there are 2 motorized boats, one which we have given to the villagers, one which the government has given to the villagers, which sort of,
They don't ply there, but they are for our use. Produce this electricity and have this reservoir. They don't get any benefit from it. They don't get any electricity out of it. We are still not officially. A few months back, we've had the first. On 9th of January, our area was declared electrified with the cable coming there. And electricity came for 1 hour on 9th of January this year. So officially on the paper, there has been a tick mark there that electrified, but nothing more than that. And this is our motorboat, which we use for our own purpose and for emergencies and villages. We also have many camps and all there. I come back to that later. This is our village. If you see, we are standing on our building or on a hillock behind our building. And you can see the hamlets. All the hamlets, one is very close to you. And then further down where you see those clusters of trees on the left side and on the right side, those are all hamlets. Wherever there are trees, except for this little hillock where there are cashew plantation which the government has done. And this one road which you see, that road goes about 2 kilometers. It's these children 7 of the children have come with me. They are not used to roads and motorized vehicles or motorcycles. We don't have any of them in our village. We don't have to look this left and right to cross the road. We just run across. And I just go very fast. This is a parab in the village. Incidentally, the villagers have found Jain murtis somewhere, which they have taken as their own. So all the sacrifices and all they do are in front of the Jain murtis, and they sacrifice everything, not humans, but all animals they sacrifice, including cows, instead in front of those Jain murtis. And these Jain murtis are on the tourist map, sort of Odisha and all. Our village also is. And this is our clothes distribution. This is how we started, clothes distribution. This is medical camp where we did solar lanterns and all. I'm not going into those details. This is our first building which we had made. This area, what you see, is where there were no trees at all. And this is again the building. This is the photograph of Mother and Sri Aurobindo. And this is a new building which is coming up. And we have more with nature, and this is the school building. These are the children who were there 1 year back. 7 of these children are here. The sleeping arrangements which were there. Now I want to come to the teaching aspects of it straight away. As we have been discussing, most of the time we have been talking of things in theory. Those things, how we are trying to put in practice is what I want to come to, because that is what actually is the topic of discussion. We do not have teachers as such. Everybody who's teaching and all, they don't consider themselves teachers. The students also don't think of them as teachers. They call them bhaias and didis, and that's how they treat them. The role of the teacher is only sort of to make an environment for learning. Our aim is to make the children independent as far as possible. It is like we say how a flower has to come out, the whole atmosphere has to be, the climate has to be, everything has to be the best as possible, and each flower will bloom in its own way. Sort of forcing and putting pressures and this and that will not make it come out the way it should come out. Each individual child is treated as an individual child. Everything, I can't say that, oh, this is what we do for everybody, except for feeding them and allowing them to sleep. There is nothing which I can say that this is for the whole of this school and for everybody. When we teach them, they don't, for example, when we do anything, when we do topics and all, as a group, when we start with small children, they do as a group. But each child is allowed to go at his or her own pace. Each child is allowed to sort of, do the way the child wants. As in, these children are 6 years old. They are learning how to read. And it's not that they don't know that they are learning how to read. On the board there are some things which are there, their own pictures with their names there, and they don't know Ga Kha Ga Gha like that. So they just try to read their name. You can see Bhagwan and Chandra and all there. And they take a topic on the right side. There is another board which has a topic which they do. everything we try to do hands-on. It's like Chalamedi said, that from near to far. So the children don't stay within the walls very much. A few of the things we do within the walls, but most of the time we try to go out on nature walks, observations, talking, doing things and all, drawing, a lot of singing. The children can do a lot of chanting, many more than 50 mantras and chantings they can do. They can do meanings. When we do the program tomorrow, they will be doing a play in Sanskrit also. They will be, the children who are here are from between the age of 7 and 9, and they would be doing some plays in English and chanting and all. And when we sit, the teachers are a part of the children. They don't sit at an elevated position or separately. They're with them, a part of them. Poonam's photograph is here and she's up here with us. And Ravi is also sitting here. So he's teaching them, what is the topic you have here?
Me and my body.
So
this is the changes around also.
Right. So when we do topics, we try to do topics where the children do it hands-on. We go a lot into detail. When we see me and my body, then the children, just before coming, they had done all the bones in the ear, how the ear functions, where the message goes from, and the skin, and all the whole digestive system, and things like that. These are 8 and 9 years old. And they are all, every single one of them is a first generation learner. None of them has a parent who has gone to school or got any education. All the children, there is no educated person in the whole of the village. And so the children are sitting here, they're observing, they're drawing, they're with nature, and they do their own things. They don't become babus by studying, they wash their clothes, take care of that. When the children come to school initially, cleanliness is something there which is quite, missing, is how I would simply put it. People don't brush their teeth, they don't wash their clothes regularly. Drinking habit is rampant. Everybody, I've told you, the children also start drinking at a very early age. Nobody stops them. Life expectancy is very low. People die very early. Many of the children have either no father or no mother or both. And children are doing things hands-on, practically. This is the dining hall, as I said, these are one of few things. This is the collector who happens to be from Maharashtra, Sachin Jadhav. He is visiting a library. The library is very big. And his photograph has been put here. I have not selected the photographs. They have been selected in the morning while I was sitting here. Again, the collector, and on the extreme right is the BDO of the block development officer of our area. And the collector was so impressed, he wanted to send 200 government school teachers and headmasters and principals there. I refused. I said, well, it doesn't make any difference. You might appreciate that all these children can speak in English, they can read and write English, they make their own storybooks and then illustrate them and take them out in book forms, 8 years old and 9 years old. But bringing government school teachers will not help, because they don't have that, that will to do it. It's not that we're doing anything special. It's just that we are trying to do things the way it is to be done. It's that we are doing it not because we know how to do it and nobody else knows how to do it, or it's something special. Everybody, as so many people have said, everybody has to find their own way. There is no right path. So he said, I'll send people and you train them, you do. But after that, finally I agreed that our children will do a performance in Koraput, where all the government officials were there, school headmasters of the district were there, and the collector himself sat through a 3-hour program of the children, 2.5-hour program of the children. He didn't move from there for 2.5 hours. And they were very happy. And what the collector has given in the month of August also, 3 full days for a place like that. A collector with whom, when I used to earlier say, can I have 5 minutes of yours? He would say, let me see when I can give you those 5 minutes. Now, in August he has come and spent 3 full days. He sent his son without anybody else who's in class 2 for 3 days and said, you go and stay there for 3 days. The son is in class 2. And after that the collector told me, can I put my son there? I said, there is DPS there, there is Kendriya Vidyalaya there are so many schools there, why do you want to put him in a tribal school? He said, there is nobody else who's teaching like you people are teaching. My son, of course I had to refuse because we are only taking children from our area and I didn't want any child who should be special in comparison to others, because then the teachers would be sort of focusing more on that one special child who's the collector's son. So that type of equality would not remain. So I had to say, of course I didn't say no, I said that it won't be good for the child to be without his mother at that age. But so these are children who are again doing things with nature and all. These are all parts of the topics. When you say, you think they're only doing gardening, they're not doing gardening. They are doing biology. This is their biology lesson. They go in detail. And then they have to do work with their hands and all. I have very little time, so I'm just going very fast. And these are 5-year-old children. And here the children are doing their senses, touch, feel, smell, blindfolded, trying to recognize, trying to see what it is. Here the children have got a topic of measurement. Instead of doing measurement in theory, you must understand that these children don't have any concept of money. For them, 10 rupee and 1 crore rupee both are very high. I can give you one example. There is one boy who's here. The children are here only. I'd sent them to the stage because they would be giving a performance. I wanted them to get used to a stage when they give their performance. So I was sitting in my office. My office there, what everybody calls my office, is not in humor. Very seriously, whenever if you go there and you ask me where the children, where Pranjal is or Bhaiya is, they'll say he's in his office. Office means one hillock with a rock on it, and I'm sitting on that rock because that's no place where the internet catches. So if I'm then I have to be in my office. So when I'm in my office, Hari saw me. He came. He sat next to me. A very nice long dialogue. I was doing my work. I continued doing my work, only I opened one more file. Whatever he was saying and I was replying, I wrote it there. By memory, I would tell you. So Hari has 3 sisters, and there in the village, whenever a guest comes or somebody comes, they give a rupee or 50 paisa or 2 rupees or something to the children. And he is a very smart boy. He takes the money what his other sisters also get, and he collects everything. And we have one Didi in the school who collects money for all the children. So he was the richest boy in school. He had collected 71 rupees. I had asked him why he's collecting this money. He said, I want to buy a motorcycle. I didn't tell him that he can't buy 1 liter of petrol in that. But then when he came and sat with me, he said many things. He came to the life cycle. He said, when will we stop coming back to the earth? How many times will we come back? I said, you have to come to a level of perfection. Only then you will get. So he said, oh, so you will not be born again. I said, no, I'm very far from that. Also, I also will have to be born many times. So then after that, very quietly he said, in my next life, in your next life, you will be a girl in China. I said, why a girl? He said, all boys will be girls and all girls will be boys. I said, why China? He said, I think you'll be born in China. And well, he didn't tell me that the highest population is in China, so the probability of being born in China is the highest. Then he told me that I will be born a poor person. I said, why a poor person? Because in this life I'm a rich person. That's 71 rupees. So in my next life I will be born a poor person. So when we talk of being rich and being poor, all of us are always striving to be richer and richer. Comfort levels, more needs, our basic instincts and basic needs what we have. All those things are not ending. A child who has 71 rupees, who's 8 years old, is happy having those 71 rupees and being 8 years old. Now he's 9 years old. And he thinks that he's a rich person. Anybody can be a rich person. You don't have to have more than 71 rupees. But the thing is that all of us are all the time thinking how I can become a richer person. And it is an unending thing. So these are things. where we try to sort of bring it in the children that the most important thing. I'll give you another example. I'll tell you one thing very frankly, I'm not a speaker. I came here completely without thinking what I am going to talk about. She was very kind to tell me that I must write in advance. I sent her 10 words which I would be saying and everything. A Mothers International School group came for Christmas. And for Christmas they were in Kichla. We have camps for school. Chalamedi school has come last year. They're coming again in December. We try to bring environment and try to show them the other side of India and all. So many schools come. Pilani Birla School also comes every year and things like that. So when the mother school children were there, Christmas was there. And they were all discussing, I want a mobile phone, I want a computer, I want this, I want that and all that. Then in the evening when we have a get together, some type of a thing where we don't have, So our children were there and the mother school children were also there. So these children, the Mothers International School children who were class 10 students, they started asking our children, what you want for Christmas? So initially they were a little shy. So then they would say that, what do you want for Christmas? Then one child said, everybody should be happy. That is what I want for Christmas. Another child said, so they were not one child said I want anything material even, but half the children said something, that they want something, but not one thing was a material thing. Most of the girls of the mother school and some of the boys, they sat there and cried. They sat there and cried, tears in their eyes. They said, we and our back were discussing Christmas and what we would force our father to buy for us. Whereas we have everything we want. We have a mobile, we have a computer, we want better of it. Here these children have nothing. And what do they want? They want things which are actually important for us. They want things which are rarely required. And we who have should be saying that we are satisfied people who have everything. We are not saying that we should be moving in that direction. But that is not what actually happens. And here again, the same measurement topic, the volume and weight and things like that. These children are not used to counting money. That is where I sort of deviated from. When you talk to them about 7.5 rupees or 7 rupees 50 paisa, they don't know what. Most of them, and the ones who don't have, they have 1 holiday in a year, 2 holidays in a year, for some reason. Otherwise, most of them come to school every single day.
So, Pranjalji, therein lies a question. If you say that their parents, some of them don't in fact want them to come to school, how is it that you actually were able to get them to school?
Initially, it's a
without
very
conflict.
uphill task. Because even children who are 3 years younger to them, the parents expect them to work in the fields, to tend the cows, to do a lot of household chores. But slowly, these children start understanding what education means. Another child from their group, of course in Jagat's case also, Jagat's parents are going somewhere, Hari's parents are going somewhere, come with us, they would come. One boy, Pitambar, his father came to me, I want to take Pitambar, I'm going out for 2 days. I said, surely you can take him. I don't stop him. I don't never stop any child. As the children will tell you, they're sitting here. If they want to go with their parents anywhere, they go with their parents. They don't go. The parent, he came to me, Pitambar's father, I said, take, if you want. His elder brother is studying in Swamiji's school in Raigada, which is the neighboring district. So, he went to Pitambar. He spent 2 hours with Pitambar trying to convince him to go with him. In 2 hours, he could not convince him. Then he came back to me. I said, look, Pitambar is there, you are here. It's between father and son. I am not in the picture. If he says yes, he can go with you. If he says no, I will not allow you to force him to go. But I will not stop him from going. He has to do what he wants to do. So coming back to why I made Lalu stand was, we had a camp there where children from Delhi, Mothers International School had gone for community service. So our children were few and these children were many. So there are 50 students of our village who were older, whom we have sent outside to other schools to get educated. They are in hostels, other Sri Aurobindo schools. That's just how we started. So I took Lalu and one more boy with me, and I said we'll go, and these children were supposed to, we took holiday from their school so that they come back to the village and they attend this camp which we had for them. And many of the children didn't come. So we went there to call the children. And the mother is standing in front of the door and telling me the child has gone, taken cows for grazing, and the child has gone there. And Lalu was very clever. He saw the footwear there. He didn't say anything, just quietly went in, and the child was older than him, and with a jerk pulled that child out and brought that other boy out. The mother is also supporting, don't go. In many cases, the parents don't send the children to school. When the children are 3 years old, our biggest task is to get the children to school. The attendance, out of 365 days, an average child attends schools only for 100 days or 150 days. That is where we start from. It takes us 3 years to come to this, and we never rely on the parents. We might, very often we tell the parents, you must send to school and this and that and all. But it doesn't work. The only thing which works is the children. They are the ones who are responsible. The parents are not responsible. They are the ones who do things properly. Their parents don't stop them from anything.
We
And-
have these children with us in the evening for the workshop.
I have another.
So in a way, the
Some people
tribal
were wanting
parents.
to ask questions to
Just
Monica.
one thing, that the tribal parents are far better than the urban parents. I mean, they give you less trouble. They allow you to take the children, they do many things, they don't come in your way.
Well, I'm not a very democratic person as far as the parents are concerned. When it comes to the children, there is a lot. When it comes to the teachers, there is a lot of democracy. I am, a dictator, I would say. If a parent comes and complains that you're not doing this and you're not doing that, I say take the child away just now.
In that area you can do.
Yeah.
In urban.
Anywhere I can do. In an urban area, also in a school, if the parents will come and say you're not doing this, you're not, take away your child. People don't do that.
We try to get mothers in
Of course, it doesn't work. We can't tell the parents you can take away your child.
In
You
an
can't
urban,
go.
in an urban area, the school charges so heavily, the parents demand.
Yes.
See, this is a question.
We can't charge anything. These parents can't afford anything.
Parents say, I pay and then it's my, so you have no problem there.
Right.
Before we go for tea,
One other
somebody's
question.
been wanting to ask something.
I was wanting to ask about the Academy of the Future. Some example of you said you also stress on developing will, empathy, or various other qualities. Some example of how you do it, and you have courses. So what do you do in those courses?
Basically,
Is it on?
number of these courses are online courses, and they are very, very flexible in the sense, to the needs of the students who come in. So there is a lecture that is there. There's also a lot of supporting material. But the large part of the course and the way it's practiced is actually the practice component. So unlike the normal university system where you only have a lecture and then you move on to the next lecture, we have a long portion for just practice. And students keep daily reflective journals. There are a lot of interactions with the facilitator. And also, I think the question, as I said, more and more it's because you're also talking about a yogic consciousness that you're developing. Interestingly, just to give you an understanding of the kinds of people who are coming to us, are people who are coming with a lot of preparation already, which means that who would, say for example, opt for a course like this? These are people these are largely professionals who have somewhere become disenchanted with their own professions and are wanting some kind of a deepening of consciousness and wanting to get away from the rat race, so to say, and have read a lot. There's a lot of wide reading, but there's not enough practice, so they need some kind of a discipline through which also to practice. And some people, a community, they can be in touch with. They can be social workers, there are people in business, there are people, there are teachers, there are university professors, so many people from all walks of life. And also we have a large number of people from across the world because it's an online course. So it's a very interesting experience of literally in terms of consciousness. You feel as though, you know, you're connected across the globe, you know, with different, and another thing that's very, very interesting, which I find is that people from different cultures, whether they are Vietnamese or they're located in Vietnam or Holland or wherever else they might be located, interestingly, there is a whole body of spiritual knowledge that has developed now, which almost has the same language, you know. Even the symbols that people are using from across the cultures are the same. So that strikes very deeply. That there's almost as though another reality that is getting constructed, you know, and people are connecting to it. And it is not just India specific. It is something that is, I think it's happening at the level of world consciousness. So these are some of the things that, you know, the kinds of practices that you're doing. There's a lot of, the reflection is not just mental questioning. There's a lot of deepening, there's a lot of quietening. So that's an answer to your
If I
question.
can say, is there also some theory or some discussion on issues that you do?
Yeah, there is discussion on issues as and when required, but the possibility is not out. I mean, we have a lot of discussion forums and things like that. But that's what I'm trying to point out. What we find in our students, more and more they need to be quieter rather than discuss. You know, because I think the need is to deepen, because mere intellectual discussions sometimes don't really get you to the heart of the problem. So
I didn't mean intellectual discussion.
Yeah, but
more about self-discovery.
Absolutely. We have sharing sessions, and, you know, some of our journals have brought out some of the, you know, kinds of answers or the kinds of reflection they're doing. I just put them out, you know, on the table there. You can have
it is probably a suggestion or just a doubt. I was just thinking, since you know, everybody is here from our school of thought, and you know, for a school like that to flourish, is it possible, like we have a student exchange program, so can we not have a teacher exchange program? You know, we can call teachers from like all school of thoughts, like from Aurobindo School or Krishnamurti or Vivekananda, for a school like this to flourish, because in a school like this we would want you know, the wholesome education like yoga, and so is it like a possibility? Something like that.
You know, I've already invited Raji to be a part of the faculty if she wants to. I think that's what I'm saying. That it's not. I don't think it's tradition specific. I think that spirituality has developed as a body of knowledge by now. You know, and all of us are growing into that. So you know, I don't disagree with you at all.
Yeah, but we all have to agree to that. I think I know that would be a nice.
Okay, time for us to keep.
A related question to this. Like Pranjal said, when collector requested him, I am an IAS officer with Government of Maharashtra, and I have been working in education field for last 20 years almost. When collector requested that 200 teachers should be brought in here and they will study and do something. You said that they don't have that commitment. You used one word. Something.
They don't have the will.
They don't have will.
They don't have commitment also. They don't.
So that is not very specific to Orissa or to Koraput district.
No.
The whole of democracy in India has employed crores of teachers, and if one can use this thing, then these words are applicable to most of the teachers. Then are we saying that non-committed people are running the whole system, and are we also saying that only these small pockets, and you yourself expressed that only one village experiment will not help and then it needs to be spread. No. So these are the people who need to spread it, and they are here to spread all the things. How to generate will and commitment? Is it the problem of the society, or with the only government people, or with the leaders, or with these things? All these things we need to analyze.
Well, what I had told the collector at that time, within 30 seconds I will tell, is that it cannot come as an order from you. Let the children do a program, which they did, and after that, let the request come from the teacher's side. Let them say, we also want to do something like this. So unless it comes from that side, you can nurture it, you can do, but you can, by forcing it down, either your mechanism, like in most states, Maharashtra has a much better mechanism to get results. The teachers have to go to school and they have to do. In Odisha, that mechanism, being a poor state and being, Naxalite areas and all that it doesn't work very well. But it is much better. And like the whole discussion has been going, the ashram type of thing, where the teachers are selfless, they're devoted, they're completely into it and do it as a responsibility. And yes, that orientation has to be there. And most of the time, teachers who become teachers, their aptitude for being teachers is not there also. They just become teachers because of that BA degree, which is
The
most.
last one? Okay, because tea is waiting there.
Your student clubbed into Aurobindo, you didn't get much of Aurobindo in your presentation. How much of Aurobindo do you push?
As I said earlier,
You might be influenced or inspired, but how much of it you actually...
in
Except the picture, we didn't see anything.
No, there is nothing which I had said about Sri Aurobindo's philosophy, because that is what
Not
she had.
philosophy, among the children, how much of it do you...
We don't push anything. The children themselves, they do singing, they do everything. Swami Vivekananda also, Sri Aurobindo also, there is not one school of thought. It is, we are, it is Hinduism. Hinduism, what does Hinduism mean? For me, Hinduism doesn't mean following one thing. Hinduism is a word which has come from the Britishers. They have clubbed all of us together as Hindus. Like Chishti ji said, that Muhammad's name is also in our scriptures. Now what is our problem? Our problem is in one family, one can be a Shiv Bhakt, one can be a Ganesh Bhakt, one can be a Durga Ma Bhakt. They can all be separate, and one brother can say, I don't believe in God at all. And we are very happy staying together. Outsiders have called us Hindus. We are not something like that. We are each one an individual who is trying to find our own way.
For your information, when I go to Arab world, they call me Hindu.
No. So when our problem, my last sentence, our problem with Muslim religion and Christian religion is only because in both of them they said that this is the only way. Otherwise they would have been as much an avatar for me as anybody else. As much as Muhammad would be as much an avatar as Ram or Krishna. If they would say that this is also one, or Christ, that this is also one of the ways. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? It's the same. The moment somebody says that this is the only way, I don't even know the one way to the toilet here. There may be 10 ways. Or the one way of combing my hair. But
Swamiji, even in our school, it's not that we just limit it to Sri Aurobindo. Any spiritual thought is encouraged.
But
otherwise it becomes very exclusive. And Sri Aurobindo himself encouraged all spiritual knowledge.
But the point that you're letting them flower on their own way is the basis of Aurobindo's and Mata's.
Absolutely, that's what I was saying.
That's not what it is.
Monica has a point to answer.
I already did. I said the whole point is both the consciousness. The point is freedom. They say fundamental is freedom.
Tejinder ji has invited the children for tea here. They can spread out and you people can talk to them directly.